Wake up every day and say your affirmations. Go. Wake up every day and say your affirmations. Go. Wake up every day and say your affirmations. Go. Wake up every day and say your affirmations. Go. Happiness and kindness is a choice. Wake up.
Greetings. John Skywalker here, and welcome to Things That People Don't Want to Talk About. Again, my name is John Skywalker, the Sly Talker. I'm a lyricist, spoken word artist, martial artist, personal trainer, lover of life, student of psychology, and I'm a father who has 5 hip-hop albums available on all streaming platforms. If you like positive conscious hip-hop, go ahead and plug into that. Just look up John Skywalker. Boom, it's down there. John Skywalker. Look that up, plug in, enjoy the tunes, and yeah, you can also give me some feedback. Too. Anyways, and I am joined by my 2 brothers here. Saba Diame, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hetepud, it means peace. Unk Ujasneb, love, peace, and happiness. Life, peace, and happiness, and prosperity and health. So, as you said, I'm Saba Diamen, nutritionist, personal trainer, entrepreneur, life coach, counselor, and father also. And also the owner and founder of Abode of Osar Institute of Personal Excellence. You can find that on online, and also be looking out for the classes and courses that we're coming up with. So you'll know more about that. Time comes. A lot of good stuff in the works. Peace, and I am of service.
Excellent. King Newborn, talk to the people. Let them know who you are.
Yes. Peace. It's your boy King Newborn. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Newborn Everything. And as always, I am of service.
Wonderful. We have another co-host, God Level, who is the creator of this podcast. She is not with us at the moment, but she will be joining us pretty soon. So without further delay, let's go ahead and chop into our topic, which is sort of the culmination of a series of topics where it stemmed from the violation of Black girls, and then it graduated into the violation of Black boys. And so now we're going to talk about the destruction of the Black family. I know backstage, God Level was talking about addressing the question that I posted on social media in our group, which, by the way, y'all, if you are tuning in right now, join our Facebook group, Things That People Don't Want to Talk About. It's on Facebook. Type in Things That People Don't Want to Talk About. If you can, by the way, respond to our questionnaires. Greatly appreciate it. We just want to, make sure that we're creating a safe space for intellectual dialogue, and just in case anyone wants to express their true and authentic selves, just knowing that there's a sense of community and love in that space. It's very important for our progress as a people and our spiritual and mental development. So yeah, if you could help us out by responding to that questionnaire, if you decide to join, greatly appreciate it. But yeah, so should we start off with that question, or do you fellas want to pivot somewhere else? Do you guys want to throw something out there before we go in that direction?
I kind of like your questions, if you ask me.
Yeah. So let's give a little bit of context of what we're about to go into.
Okay.
Yeah, a little context on that. Then of course your question would be perfect to start off with.
Facts.
All right. So once again, we talked about the violation of Black girls and then the violation of Black boys, and one of the common denominators is a socialization of our children, right? That's one of the main ingredients. And children are not only socialized by their teachers and their community members, pastor, but ultimately it's the family. The family is ultimately responsible for the socialization of our children. And so when we're talking about the destruction of the Black family, we're also talking about internal factors, right? How does abuse become so heavily perpetuated in the Black community and Black families, right? we're talking about the mental health of both parents. Even if there's one that's absent, that's still a mental health issue, right? Of course, there are some socio-political influences on the destruction of the Black family. There are some historical events that our nation is still struggling with to acknowledge collectively that have influenced the destruction of the Black family. And we want to talk about these issues, bring them to light, and discuss for our audience some ways that today that you can contribute to the healing of the Black family unit. The family unit is the centerpiece of a society, right? Even if you're considering just the member, one member still is going to be exposed at the fundamental level, the family unit. And that's the first social institution, really, is the family. And when that family is dysfunctional, disoriented, disrupted, distressed, dismantled, disorganized, any dis that you can think of, that impacts the development of the offspring. And these families are now producing dysfunctional children. And so it's no question then as to why we see the fragmentation of future Black families, because they were already in a fragmented situation to begin with, right? So we're going to explore a few questions, a few variables. I don't think we can cover it all in one session, but we're going to do our best to try to highlight some very key factors in the dysfunction of the Black family. Did I hit it right? Do I need to beat it up some more? Uppercut it?
No, that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I liked it.
All right. So yeah,
Nice
it's a
little segue.
conversation, folks. It's a conversation, but as we know, if it's a problem, we got to talk about it. We got to get an understanding of the problem. We got to get an understanding of the influences, the variables that contribute to the problem. Then we can talk about solutions, and viable solutions at that, because we're practical people and they need to be something that's accessible, just for the layperson, just for the average person, right? So the question that God Level was chanting of, its brilliance, I suppose, is what are some reasons that Black families are dysfunctional? I posed that in the group. Do you guys want to respond first, or do you want me to go ahead and read some of these?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
What are some reasons that the Black family is dysfunctional?
Yes. What are some reasons that Black families are dysfunctional? I'll go ahead and put that up there.
Yeah. So first, I want to just get clarity in the question, because it's almost as if the question is saying that all Black families are dysfunctional. Is that what the question asking?
Okay. So what are some reasons that Black families are dysfunctional? I mean, given that the topic is the war on, or the destruction of Black family.
Well, I was just wondering, because it's talking about all of them. Because I don't agree that all of them are dysfunctional.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Fair.
It's just that, and because so in any response that I give, it won't be with the thought.
It won't be a
all
generalization.
Yeah.
It won't be so it'll only apply. Yeah, it'll only apply to the families that it needs to apply to. Okay.
Yeah, but I would say that there's several reasons that causes dysfunction in some Black families, and of course one of them, some of them are of course internal, and there is what we call generational curses, and I like to call them generational conditions that is never addressed in the previous family. So of course Black families grow parents of Black families and Black households grow up to bring on the traumas that they suffered from their childhoods and so forth. So you have this cycle that's going on. That's one thing that can cause it to be dysfunctional, because no one ever addresses those. And then a lot of times we've dealt for generations. We've dealt with mental illness in our families, and never saw them as such. We just thought that this is just was crazy. He's like, oh, that's just that person just crazy. Uncle Joe just like that, or such and such. So we never address real issues because we just let them go. And that's some internal stuff. And aside for not being intentional as to how we want our households to be ran, sometimes there's just stuff that we put up with traditional stuff, like mama putting plastic all over the furniture and you can't go in that room. Tradition, the tradition of almost every black family in my era had the example of getting beat with a Hot Wheel track.
Mm.
The Hot Wheel, the little orange Hot Wheel tracks. We
Wow.
got whoopings with
That's
those,
different.
and it wasn't just me. It was almost everybody had that kind of story. Like, well, so did they buy these as weapons of, discipline, or did they buy them for us to have fun with, but they end up being our worst nightmare. And so you got some of these kind of things. Education not being something that we value in every in most black families, and there's some that actually are big on education. uh but there's also external things like politics, not having the resources to deal with whatever the family is lacking, not having those resources, not being able to access, to have access to the agencies that might can provide some assistance because it is a black family. But again, we're still dealing with, we haven't been able to sew back together what was torn apart from Jim Crow. We haven't been able to sew those things back together. So there's so many reasons. And of course, the black family lives in a world that's totally different from that of the white family or any other family that's more affluent. Here in right now, we're still dealing with ourselves in a impoverished kind of way. Whereas we even got Latina, Mexican families moving in and moving up that ladder quicker than we are. Even now. And I'm not saying that that's the Mexicans' fault, but I'm just pointing out that that's what's happening. So we got to look at that. There's still some things put in place that are keeping us from starting, from being able to run as fast as we can towards a successful goal or whatever. So there's a lot of, that among other things, but we'll unpack the rest of it later. So I just want to give that little response to that question.
King Newborn, you got a hot take?
I'm going with the flow right now.
Yes, sir.
It's a couple other questions that you have that I'm a zero in on. I'll be happy when God level appears because I think she had some great
Mhm.
intel to add to tonight's podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, shoot. I'll go ahead and just chop into it then. So Josephine says some of it is generational. Somewhere along the lines, the family became dysfunctional and the cycle kept repeating itself. There are many reasons. I feel it being generational is the main one. God Level actually responded to this one. She said, "Where do we begin? The balance is no longer in the home, male and female. Daughters are being raised to be independent, and sons made the man of the house before even knowing what a man is. Mother is doing all she can. The respect for the elders is no longer there." Do we really feel that way as a community? That the elders are no longer there?
I do. Not in a way, not in any kind of cultural way, because we relied on elders in our African cultures, our indigenous cultures, not just in Africa but also here on American soil. We relied on elders. Elders were the ones with the wisdom that was passed down even in a form of stories or what have you. But they kept the traditions. They were the head. They were spearheading all the traditions of the culture that was actually helping us keep that tradition going. When our elders stopped, when they just got old and they didn't have any wisdom to pass down, of course they were not there. Because so at some point, these people were just growing old with their traumas in place, and that's it. So yeah, I do agree with that.
Mm.
Absolutely.
I'm not
See that?
sure about that one. So my elders, well, I will say this. I'm mixed about it because I have surrogate elders, right? And I came across these surrogate elders not consciously, I would say. Um, Perhaps it's my soul. Perhaps, yeah, my higher self just kind of put me in the presence of them. In every phase of my life, there has been some sort of elder there to pass on some wisdom to me. So I was fortunate in that regard. But it's mixed for me because in my bloodline, just in my bloodline, my biological grandmother, I didn't have a relationship with her. My biological grandfather, I didn't have a relationship with him. I was aware that they existed, but you know, we moved over here, they're over there, and there's just no connection, right? So,
Mm.
in a sense, that relates to the topic, right? The destruction of the black family, to where there's a disconnect there. The nuclear family moving on and doing, operating differently, moving differently, right? But I have been blessed with a surrogate grandmother and grandfather, several of those, and I remember just being a child, just yearning to have that experience to just sit down and just listen. What are your stories? Who are you as it relates to me? Right. Welcome, God level.
Peace, peace, peace,
Okay,
Queen.
okay.
Yeah. So
Oh,
I think I just take a look at what you were reading. So it was talking about no respect for the elders. So the respect for the elders no longer
It's
being
it's
there. Is
it's
there?
the daughters fighting their
oh,
mothers,
yeah, the
the
respect.
sons fighting their
Okay.
fathers, that
Okay,
type
so
of
I thought you were talking about just the elders themselves not being there, but I
yeah.
would say that the wisdom from the elders, we're not getting wisdom from our elders
Mm,
nowadays. It's just like you said, you had to go get a surrogate, you know,
Mm.
and so, but not nobody in your bloodline. You know what I mean? It had to be
hmm
somebody outside the. So, but not everybody even have that luxury of finding somebody else. You see what I'm
hmm
saying? So, so, but even the respect itself may be because the elders have no, the lack of respect is because the elders have no wisdom, to pass down. They themselves are not learning. They're the ones who are carrying on and pushing the generational trauma that's going on. Because come on, we see grandmamas all the time arguing and doing things that are not mature. You could tell they're probably out still trying to party and all that. I'm not saying something's wrong with partying, but what I'm saying, the way it's done, the drinking, the excessive drinking, and they're still trying to hide themselves or numb themselves to their own
Mhm,
realities.
mhm,
You know,
mhm.
so yeah, they have. So these days, the elders don't. I literally had to find. I found wisdom in the community that I have now, in a form of an initiated priestess, in a form of a minister. These are females. And also males and the teachers. So only people who are engaged in spiritual practices in some way are the ones that I got my wisdom from. It wasn't from, and I'm not saying my family don't have, because I do. In my family, I have my oldest, my mom's oldest sister. She's always been a source of wisdom and knowledge for me, and so was my grandmother before she passed and everything. But I can't say that I have a plethora of people in my family that I can go to and sit down and we can share wisdom stories. She would be the only one,
mm.
unfortunately. So
I got a
yeah.
question. So I'm curious. So when we say elder, do it necessarily mean that someone of that are of older stature, or are we saying elder as in, like you said, knowledge and wisdom? Um,
Age
that
is
may.
mandatory, maturity isn't. Age is
Well,
mandatory, maturity
but
isn't.
what I'm learning though, what's considered an elder, it is an age minimum
Okay,
that's
okay,
considered an elder, an
okay.
age
Is it?
minimum.
Oh. Mm.
Yeah, it is an age minimum. It's not just somebody who's older than you,
Okay.
but it's somebody who's at a certain age to be considered an elder.
Uh,
So, and I believe that age, that consideration is 65 and up. We're talking about
okay.
as far as being
Okay.
elders. And but I always say that not every elder is necessarily an elder. Some elders are just older because they have nothing to pass down. They have
Mm,
nothing. They're not trying to carry on the positive aspects of tradition and culture. You know,
got you.
So to bring
so
harmony to the situation, is it okay that we acknowledge that? All right, we can acknowledge that age is a requirement of it, right? Because I mean, John can't consider himself an elder, right? But um, can we just say, and just to bring harmony to this, that all right, it's about the quality of the elder.
you can well, you could say quality, but now you got to define quality.
Hey, I finna say, so
Quality of
what
the
we
elder.
say when
Yeah,
we
because I
saying
mean, there's
quality, yeah.
yeah, because there's poor quality, there's high quality.
But I mean, what do you consider to be poor or high? So that's what I'm saying. We got to define
Oh, what
that.
are the metrics? Okay, what are the
Yeah.
metrics of
So
a high
I'll just
quality
say, yeah. So any elder who is actively, passing down the wisdom from their own experiences in life, who have that to offer, and now trying to guide those who are coming after him or her with that wisdom.
Right,
You
right,
see,
right.
and that's actually have things laid in place and say, do this, do that, to carry on our family tradition. That is actually
Mhm.
keeping up with family tradition, and still sit you down and tell you stories and making sure you're getting some teaching out of that story,
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
basically rearing you in the right direction. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so we
Mhm.
can have cultural elders, correct?
Yeah. You could have,
Maya
Yeah,
yeah,
most definitely.
Angelou, Dr. Claude Anderson.
Facts.
absolutely.
Facts.
Okay.
Facts.
Absolutely. Because we
Facts.
got the, we're rich with those. We're pretty wealthy with a lot of
Yeah,
them,
Dick Gregory and okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay, now I
All
gotta
right, all
say
right.
something.
Okay.
The question that he posed, what are some of describe some of the things that are or the reasons why Black family are dysfunctional. The
Can you
first lady I
introduce
spoke with,
yourself, God level,
oh, I'm
before you go,
sorry.
P?
I
Yeah, I
know.
appreciate
I
that.
just jumped
Yeah,
right
yeah,
into it.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
guy level from things that people don't want to talk about. I want to thank everybody for jumping in on tonight's live. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I want to thank my brothers for always opening up when I can't be here on time. I thank you. I am a mother. I have this podcast. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a nurse, which caused me to be late. Patience first. So yes, here I am. Here I am now.
Hello.
My
Yeah.
brother posted a question in the group, and I took it to the streets. I literally asked every person that I was working with, what are some of the reasons you believe that the Black family is dysfunctional? And the lady stated, she said the elders, the older people, the older generation don't want to acknowledge the abuse. They don't want to talk about it.
Oh, now that's
They
different.
don't want
Mm.
to acknowledge their abuse. One lady stated that society is pushing Black women to be independent, not having the man in the household. One of the residents responded that the man and the female are no longer together. The man and the woman is no longer together. That's the problem. Another resident, because I asked, out loud, and she answered, she said, due to ignorance.
Mm.
So
Mm.
yeah, I got a lot of feedback, but the lady went deep about, how the abuse is going on in the family and everyone is pushing it up under the rug and they're not coming out until years later or being open and honest about it. And even when they do come out about it years later, the elders are the older generation is still refusing to even acknowledge that it even happened.
Hmm.
So is it because so it sounds like the younger generation is looking at them like you guys aren't even being accountable. You're not modeling the
That's it.
accountability.
Yeah.
Therefore, we don't respect you because you're not being ooh.
I want to add to that and allude to the fact that most of these situations are due to the fact granddad is not there anymore. You know, the one that normally would step in for certain situations like this. His presence is not there due to a lot of other things that systematically happens to where at one point was the boy becoming the young man, which became a father, which became a granddad, is no longer in the home front to not only just covet but protect, provide, and counsel certain situations like that. Because I'm pretty sure all of us know at some point there was a man in the community, whether it was Big John or Bill or something like that. You would be like, yeah, whatever you do, don't, because if he say something, I mean, we got to follow suit. You know, he was considered like supreme counsel of the neighborhood in some cases. But we went from it being grandfather to his big mama.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and not only that, it has been perpetuated in movies. We don't even seek counsel from grandfather because quote unquote grandfather does not know how to handle certain situations accordingly. Hence, like what you're saying right now, allowing certain traumas to be passed down, or we know about Ray, the uncle, that keep on touching the nieces. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. But then Big Mama, she steps in and
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of protection going on about in that particular situation of protecting the person, but not protecting the children.
facts.
Shame. It's a lot of guilt. No one wants to take on that responsibility as far as outing that family member. Everyone wants to turn a blind eye. They want to tell the children, don't go over there, but not keep that person away from the children. Um, and it seemed like this is the story of a lot of people that I've come in contact with. And that's scary.
Well,
That is scary.
What protections do they have though?
Oh.
I mean, and I don't mean no disrespect. If we have a high rate of divorce, if we have a high rate of broken families, single home mothers, if we have a high rate of our black men from a young age, starting as young as maybe 11 to 12, going to jail, spending a lot of time, going to juvenile first and foremost, and then graduating to jail, if not prison, where is it that, I mean, because we don't have no ground roots of any type of protection. We don't even have a subline of principles and morals to even follow to make sure that some of these things never take place. And if they do, they're ruled with an iron fist. We don't have those provisions no more. Period.
mm-hmm.
And then the first thing we want to do, we want to still point at the problem and say that the problem is ultimately the only solution, but the problem has no solution. It has no out. It has no coverage. It don't even have a safe place of its own. And then we keep on perpetuating these cycles over and over and over and over, but we still want to point. Like, okay, black men, you need to do something. He too far behind the 8 ball. And I'm not making excuses because there's a difference between the rule and the exception. We're talking about the exceptions. Those that come up where you do have the mom, the dad, the grandmother, and the grandfather, and the great grandma, and the great grandfather that are still alive and well, and they're studied, like Saba said, and then also like Skywalker alluded to, we study passing down some good generational values instead of curses or traumas or secrecy, or we don't talk about this, or Bill doesn't know anything about, last time we had the family reunion, why y'all keep inviting the same cousin? Why ain't nobody gonna check him? Now we looking at the men, but you remember, you got this situation. Grandma told your man, sit down. So why you want him to stand up now?
Well, see,
You
I see that type of response is kind of being part of the problem, though,
Damn,
and this is why,
that
because
was
we're
mm,
never
crazy.
addressing the mindset or the mental condition that's causing that behavior.
yes,
True.
We,
yes,
and I
yes,
think that's what it is. Somebody's got to start addressing those things, because those things, they start to compile and they start to build up, and that itself becomes a generational trauma, generational curse, because that mental illness and that mental condition is what's passed on from one generation to the next. And
Yes,
so
Lord.
this is why you get the unaddressed cover-ups and things like that. And now that you've got a generation of kids that are vocal, because we started we started telling them, because of what was happening to us, we started telling our children, hey, make sure you talk to us if somebody touch you, make sure
yes,
this and that, no matter who it is. And then it still took another generation for that to catch on. And now
Mhm.
finally that we're at the generation where that finally caught on. And now they're with this and that happened, and nobody's listening. Nobody's listening. Nobody's trying to address. So it's one thing to now, let's catch the culprit, but nobody's addressing the mental issue, the
yeah,
mental disease that's going on, that's passing down, so we can change that. We need to start implementing safe avenues for those who have those kind of things going on, because even the uncles that's touching the kids now may have been touched when he was younger, more than
true,
likely,
yeah,
I thought
more
about
than
that
likely,
too.
and was unable to express. So this is how he's expressing, and then that child who he's touching is going to feel like it's okay to do the same.
yeah,
You see, so nobody. So that's what we have to. That's what we have. We have to make sure that there is a safe and open avenue for us to talk about these things, and then whoever did it to Uncle, now we gotta not bring him justice in the form of bringing things back to balance.
hmm,
All we want is just for these things just not to happen. We shouldn't want our family members to have to suffer any longer.
Mhm. That part.
See, we just want to bring it back to balance. So now let's talk to granddad who touched uncle. Now let's talk to him and say, hey, where are you at? Where you at with this mindset, and what got you there? Oh, great granddad. Okay, so it's got to stop. Let's talk about these things. Let's have a healthy conversation. Apologize. Let's acknowledge that shouldn't have never happened, so we can start a healthy, platform for going forward for these new generations that's coming into our family. Somebody's got to
set the
go
tone.
first.
Yeah, set the
Mm.
tone. Set the tone.
Yeah, somebody's got to go first.
That sounded
Nobody's
real
doing
good,
it.
brother. Thank you. That was, yeah,
Gotta set
yeah.
the
Hmm.
tone.
Set the tone in the family. Protect these children. And
Hmm.
listen to them when they come and talk to you about this stuff.
Gosh, say. Hmm.
Ooh, the
Peace,
worst
peace,
thing you
peace.
could do is hear them out and then not do anything about it.
Not do anything.
Mhm.
Hmm.
That's the worst thing you can do. Mm, wow.
All right, continuing, right? So that was offspring from God Level's response in the chat. Sharonda says children are not allowed to be children. They know too much of their adult caregivers' problems, money issues, relationships issues, friendship drama, and so on. Unfortunately, some of them also at an early age want to become fixers for the adults' problems, some by telling their parents they don't want to participate in activities that may cost the parent money they don't really have, by
Facts.
comforting a parent that may be in an abusive relationship, by trying to care for younger siblings when they can barely care for themselves. Oh, it's just so much.
Hmm. She said a
Words are
mouthful.
powerful. That made me
Mhm.
think about a parent walking around stating, I'm broke all the time. I'm broke, I don't have it. I got this going on, I got that going on. And the child is hearing it. So the child doesn't even want to come and say, well, I need this, because they're already hearing you say what you ain't got.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Just put that out there.
Mm.
So you think that causes dysfunction?
Yes. Yes, especially when you don't know that words are powerful. If I'm constantly saying I'm broke every day, I'm constantly inviting in that experience um, into my life. Yeah,
Okay.
and then they picking up on that, not knowing that the words powerful. Yes,
Okay.
You know, you could go even to piggyback off of God level peace, Queen. You
thank
can
you.
go you can go as far as saying for the same chemical response that a person has from being physically abused, you can get the same chemical response from using certain words, like you just said, I'm broke.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And then over years of time, that child constantly hears that. I mean, ain't no different than a caged bird not recognizing the fact I got wings, I can fly. All I
Mm-hmm.
understand is a broke mentality, broke lifestyle. I got to
Mm.
budget just to make it to the next check.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Like you say, words have meaning. Are you speaking death? Are you speaking
Mm-hmm.
life?
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Now I've heard the words no, we can't do that, or we don't have, the money or the resources or what have you. And what would, and I've seen it work in this way. I've seen what you guys are talking about too, but I've also seen it in this way to where the child would start to become aware of what it is that they can and cannot do, and what they will and will not bring to the attention. They start to take some sort of accountability
Yeah,
for
responsibility,
what's
accountability.
happening. So
Yeah,
they merge
yeah,
into what's going on with the family. You know what I'm saying? They become responsible, in other words, quicker
yeah. I get what you're
than
saying.
other
Yeah,
kids who just think they're entitled to everything. So these kids
facts.
understand that they're not entitled. They know what
Hmm.
Mm.
privilege is and what is not. So I've
Yeah.
seen it that way as well. You
So would you
see?
say,
So that's
Sabadama, would you say that that's because that set parent, not only if let's say that conversation comes about, but it's broken down for the child to
mhm,
understand, okay, why is it that we can't? Or here's why. Not necessarily saying as a parent or as an adult, you have to explain yourself to your child, but we're still trying again create safe spaces for our
mhm,
children to even come
mhm.
to us. So it's still part of our duty to explain certain things so that way
Yeah,
they won't be confused and be feeling like, well, mama
yeah.
ain't got it, daddy ain't got it right now, and this is why. So let me quit
That's
asking for
that's what I
everything.
was getting to, brother. It's the
Okay, my
way we
bad.
communicate it. It's the
Yes,
way
sir.
we
Yes, sir.
communicate it.
Peace, peace,
Absolutely,
peace.
it's the way we communicate it.
Mm.
Hmm.
My daughter and I do that. I will tell her, this paycheck, I have this to do. And she said, okay, and she's willing and always so patient to wait until I have what I need for her. I love that. So yeah, talking to them, but not going so much in depth as what I have going on, but giving her an understanding like, hey, I got to give breaks on a part of this paycheck. Oh, okay, mom, go ahead. That's more important. She'll wait until the next go around to get what she needs. That I love and appreciate. So yeah, talk to them. You'd be
Absolutely.
surprised
Mm.
how much they understand.
Yeah,
Mm. Mm.
yeah. And I'll
So
say
we're
definitely
acknowledging that.
closer.
Oh,
Oh no, go ahead, brother. Because I was just gonna one of the things that you had read about Sharonda's comment. The first thing that she talked about how children are not allowed to be children. They know too much of their own adult caregivers' problems, money issues, and relationship issues. So sometimes you can tell them too much.
yeah, that part.
I do think that the lines between adult and child has been blurred way
There
too
we go.
much. There's no fine lines. It was a fine line,
I was gonna
where
say boundaries, but yeah,
when
yeah.
I was coming up, like we knew exactly where that was cut off. You didn't. You stayed in a. There was a such thing as a child's place.
Hmm.
When we were coming up, and I do think that was healthy. You don't let children in on adult issues. You don't do that. These days, since those are so blurred, the children, they see themselves equal to the adults, and
Facts.
and children are not equal to. I don't care what any of y'all out there say. Children are not equal to adults.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get that out your head now. You don't let a child in an adult's place. Period.
You know,
You know.
Saba, what you saying that go back to a great point that God level, peace to the queen. She pointed out, I think it was last week, that sometimes we will anoint our sons too early to say that. I ain't gonna say too early. We anoint our sons by telling them, again, words have power and meaning. You the man of the house now.
Yeah.
And
I was
think
told
about
that
that.
too at an early age.
Yeah, at an early age. So when you did get into a relationship and moved in, how were you operating? Were you maybe I need to word it something differently. When you tell a child, a young boy, he is the man of the house who has not yet grown into knowing a man, becoming a man,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to move a certain way. And then when he finally gets into that position, is he going to move any differently than he was prior? Or is he going to continue that same behavior moving forward, thinking that this is what he is supposed to do? Take the trash out, get a job, and that's it.
It all depends. I can tell you for me, because this was all compounded without having an example of
Yeah,
what a
reference
man
point.
is.
Yeah,
And then I was told
yeah,
that you're the man in the house. I'm like, well, what the hell is that? What's a
exactly.
man?
Yeah,
What is that? I'm 8 years old.
there you go.
But I was
Mm.
being told that because I was very vocal to what was going on with my family, with my mom and my siblings. I was very vocal, and I was there assisting as much as possible my mom, and because we had all kind of issues in our immediate family. Had a sickly sister that we constantly had to, taking back and forth to the hospital. We had my mother constantly had mates that abused her, so we were in and out of women abuse shelters, and then on top of that, in the projects, and times when the lights was off, we had to spend a whole month with the lights off and all this other kind of stuff. It was all kind of things that I literally had to be vocal, had to hold my own, um, and just to make sure the family was okay, because I cared about how everybody else felt. And so my mom looked at me like I had some sort of wisdom in me as a child. And
Mm.
but so I was told, well, yeah, you're the man of the house. You're the man of the house. But I was like, I don't even know what that is, because if it's what I see coming through here, I don't want to be nothing like it.
Facts.
I don't want to be nothing like it. And yes, so when I grew up and I had my own family, I ruled it with an iron fist, thinking I'm going to do the best I can do. Like, I'm going to be the best husband and best father I can be. And I ruled it with an iron fist. And it
Mm.
cost me that family. Okay. Because I was instilling fear instead of respect. You see?
Oh
So
man,
but again, I didn't have an example. I didn't know.
yeah, no
I didn't
blueprint.
know.
Yeah, that's tough.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you
Mhm.
just went by your own ideas. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Left me up to my own vices,
Mhm.
which was never developed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Which
then
was
that
never
becomes
developed.
the root of another situation, the destruction of the black family.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Not having the blueprint, not having that
Not
model.
having, yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How are we supposed to operate as a family? You have ideas about who has what role. What are we
Hmm.
supposed to do with these talents? What's the
Hmm.
function? What is the overall function of the family? What is everybody's responsibility? I'm a man. Hence, when I develop, what talents am I supposed to have? Am I well equipped to even take this on? I mean, I know I'm being told by my culture that one day, John, you're going to grow up and you're going to start your own family. Okay,
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I can believe that. And then you look to media because you don't have a real world blueprint right in front of you, tangible, that you can fish for wisdom. You have to rely on something that's fictional, even though it's probably based in reality. But you got to look to TV, movies for
Hmm. Hmm.
ideas on how to be a father, how to be a husband.
Yes.
Is
Facts.
that how it's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be?
And then you can't recreate those because they don't really fit your situation.
Watch out there now. Watch out there now. Because now you're talking about
Woo!
scripts.
Woo!
Yep.
Scripts and narratives that, like you say, it don't even coexist in your
Mm,
situation.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep.
I can tell you because I could not mimic Bill Cosby. I'm sorry, that was not my situation. That was
Yeah,
not it. Even though
that's
I
a
grew up watching them.
that's a different income level too.
Different
Mm.
income level and different resources available and everything else.
Man. You know, to be that, and you can just pick up the phone, make a phone call, and you got certain things that happen and click off the fact of your name. That's different as well, and it's not from being in the streets, being the drug lord or the thug or the killer. It's from actually doing good and taking care of other families.
Hmm.
From his professional field. So that's serious. And that also, I want to point out when you say understanding, because you and John Sabadam, well, God level, you do as well. You point out not knowing your role. And I want to point out something that is celebrated year in and year out. And I wonder, for our audience, what do you think? Is it detrimental when we have our queens, our mothers, our grandmothers, our sisters, and our aunties say that I'm celebrating Father's Day?
Mm.
Yeah, I'll be the first to say that's just dumb.
Ooh,
That's just absolutely dumb. I'm sorry. How you gonna
wow.
celebrate Father's Day? You're the mother. It takes
Mm,
two, a mother and a father. It took male, female. How how
mm,
how are you going to celebrate Father's Day?
Hmm.
mm.
And I tell you
Let's talk
what,
about that. Because some of these relationships end because of the woman.
Hmm.
right?
Ooh, watch out. Hold on
I
now. I
mean,
mean,
we being real. Some of these relationships end because of the woman.
Hmm.
mm,
It's not
Hmm.
always on the man. That's what it seems like, but it's the woman's fault too. Stop.
So
It is. You got
why do you believe that these women are making a claim to that title as well? Like, all right, I'm
that's
going
a
to celebrate
trend.
Father's Day.
That's a dumb trend they didn't jump on. I'm sorry.
You
Yeah,
don't think it was
and
out of
it's,
bitterness?
The
of
bitterness,
course it was,
they
and
want
it was a
all
few.
the attention.
Hmm.
And most of them is probably the blame for the end of the relationship.
Hmm.
mm.
I'm
I
just
would
saying.
imagine it's from bitterness that's how it got started, and it just became trendy, right? But just hearing it, because
You want to take
you know,
away Father's Day as your own and give it to yourself? No,
Mm-mm.
no.
Even when I was a single father, just
Mhm.
me and my two kids, I never did claim that I was a
Oh,
when it came around to Mother's Day, me and my kids got together and sent their mothers
yep,
gifts and
same
lifted their
here,
mothers up. I never said, "Oh, I'm the mother and the father."
right,
No,
right. Mm.
no. I can never be a mother. Just like their mothers can never be fathers. So let's make that road distinct. You wouldn't even
Exactly.
begin to feel the shoes. You're not even on the frequency to feel the shoes.
Yes.
So we're
Mm,
we're complimented for a reason because there are some things that we just simply cannot do because of who we are, the gender that we were born into.
mm.
I'll never be fit. I don't care if I throw on makeup, lipstick, foundation, all that. I would still never be able to fill the role as a mother.
Facts, big
Doesn't
facts.
matter, you know. And vice versa. You could throw Tim boots on, those long shorts, whatever they call it, they wear, and the big old overcoats. I don't care how masculine you get. You'll never be able to fill the role of a father.
Well, I
Period.
don't know. They got pronouns out now, so I mean,
And look, they can keep that. Take that on back to the backside of Sesame Street. I don't even
We should
care.
talk about that. These pronouns is getting out of hand. I'm sorry.
But
hey,
that's a whole nother
yeah,
thing. We want to leave that alone until
Yes,
we
yeah,
got to
yeah,
prepare
yeah.
for
Let's
that.
finish.
I don't
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
get
yeah,
canceled
yeah,
for real.
yeah. We don't want to get canceled before we really get a run going.
Yeah, I think so too, Love Sean, that this is true. That it is
Mm.
part of business, and also
Bitterness.
to loudly
I'm
exclaim that the
not
father
doing
ain't
this
doing his
part.
part. That's bitterness.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
part. So
yeah.
it was a good idea at the time to express that bitterness. I'm just I'm kind of flabbergasted how that caught on though. That other single mothers were like, oh yeah, you know what? That's a good idea. Let me
Let's
champion
take
that as
Father's
well.
Day too. No, no.
And then like who really honored that? Also, like after you said it, after you put that out there, who really honored that? Who said, yeah, you know what? We're gonna celebrate Father's Day for you too. Like what man say, hey, Keisha, happy Father's Day.
You know
Who
what? To
did
be
that?
honest, it was some stupid guys that did some stuff like that. There were some
No,
stupid guys
Are
that
you
did that.
serious?
no, I don't
You-
believe it. I
Listen,
don't believe
listen.
it.
When y'all when
I
y'all
need
when
They
y'all
were
receipts.
see these
trolling. They
guys,
had to be
I
trolling.
need receipts.
you see these guys who are not being realistic with these women. They're trying to jump on those women bandwagon.
Oh, those
These
guys.
are
Yeah,
these are just people
yeah.
who are just trying to get the attention of women, and they're opportunists. That's all they are. They're trying to
Yeah, and
console. They're trying to they're trying to see this, be very sensitive to women and the issues.
yeah,
Dude, get on out of here. We know what you're trying to do. You ain't helping the situation.
yeah, they
Period.
call those beta males or the blue pill guys and
Yeah.
stuff like
Get
that.
on out of here with
Yeah,
that. Be real. And don't stop acting like
yeah.
you ain't a man and dealing with what we dealing with. Get on out of here. We don't
So
need
it's
you on
it's
our team.
it's beautiful that you use the word being real. Do you feel like fake is the new narrative for our black community and black families?
Fake everything.
Well, I mean,
Mm,
I always have
Fake
to. I'm trying to
love,
understand the word
fake boobs,
fake. What is
fake
fake?
booty, fake everything. Fake is the new real.
Well, tell me
Really?
what fake is. What is fake?
People are
And I'm
not
seriously asking so I
honest.
can talk about it
Not being true to
intelligently.
themselves and who they are or loving themselves. My God, they have to pretend to be someone that they're not.
okay, so let's not use the word fake. Let's say false.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. Um,
No more.
that's what I'm asking. Are we talking about just in personality?
Oh, well, I think it's more so all the way across the board. No one wants the truth. No one, because when you deal with truths and facts, at some point it pushes you in the area of accountability and being responsible.
Okay.
So if we
What are you
press a
saying, God
false,
level?
I'm sorry, because I lashes, her nails.
But he was saying across the board, so it's like
yeah,
Okay.
across the board,
there's
yeah,
yeah, fake
Yeah, but that because
outrage, fake intention. Well, not fake
yeah,
intentions, but
yeah,
yeah, a lot of yeah. I know what he's talking about.
Okay, go ahead. I'm listening. I just got to cut
yeah.
myself. I was looking like
No, when you try to paint the narrative as I am the perfect woman. Well, I don't even want to use the word perfect. I am the correct example of a mother or the woman in a relationship or the breadwinner or the counsel when it's all smoke and mirrors until you actually deal with that person one on one and you see behind the scenes, behind the curtain. You be like, whoa, wait a minute, this ain't what you quote unquote is putting on social media. This ain't who you really are when you at work. This ain't who you are when you at grandma's house. This ain't how you be when you over there taking the kids to the park. You know, you you'll see. I'm sorry, go ahead.
when you meet someone, you're meeting their representative.
Sometimes, yeah,
I'm finna say,
sometimes.
yeah, in some cases, but I find it that reason why I bring it up because most of the times when you present uh, certain truths, nobody want to deal with that because it's uncomfortable, and
Mhm.
that's not a reality that they want to build in. Which this is why I brought up the word fake. But I kind of understand where Sabadama is coming from, so I rather use the word of a falsehood or a false narrative or false way of thinking that because I'm in my feelings and it feels like I'm doing what's correct or right, it might in actuality be the total opposite. So I could
so
be projecting. Go ahead.
so they're being pretentious.
Yeah.
In other words,
Okay, I can use that. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
more
yeah,
like
yeah, 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 yeah.
pretentious. Only because the only reason why I struggle with fake with the word fake and thing, because we are who we are. When I mean as mankind, we can always be who we want to be anytime we want to be.
Facts. That's facts.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
facts.
So that's never fake. That's never
Okay.
fake. That's
That's true.
the nature of how God expresses through us. Period. We can always be who we want to be whenever we want to be. Now, being pretentious, I get it, because sometimes we pretend to be in a certain vibration that we're not, and we can only hold that for a couple of seconds.
Mhm.
Okay, and then we go back to it. When they say your true colors come
Your true
shine,
nature come out. Yeah. You go back to who
true
you really are. Yeah.
starts to come. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So then, but I can see people who are doing that, who try to look like they got more money than they have by spending the little money they do have on
Facts.
expensive stuff to look like they have to get the status, and they never ever really truly have the money.
Facts.
You see what I'm saying? So I've seen people like that. That's being pretentious as well, and they can't hold that. You go home, they go back to their $200 a month apartment, and they ain't got nothing in the refrigerator because they done spent it all on their Rolex. You see? So all just to get some clout chasing. You see?
There it is. Yeah,
So that mindset right there can be destructive to the family, to the black family.
To be very, because it's still untruthful, no matter where it comes from. You're not really catering to your true status and condition. So if you never do that, you'll never know how to come out of it. You'll never be working to come out of it. You're trying to jump the gun, and that's a bad thing to do. That's a bad thing to do, So no, I get it. I get it.
Reminds me of Roscoe Jenkins, that movie with
I remember that.
Lawrence. Yeah. Yeah. That captures that. Yeah. That movie captures everything that we're saying right here too. Yeah. He went back home, found his roots, remembered who he truly was, went out there in the society, and he became something that he wasn't. And it was like, no, who are you? Right? Even his I don't know if it was his wife or if it was his girlfriend, but even then it was like she doesn't really represent the values of the family, right? So yeah, even that.
All that just to keep up with the mock-up life that he was trying to live. When he like an author or something like that,
running from the life.
Was he?
Yeah, he was running.
I can't remember. I don't know if he was a.
Yeah,
it was something. He was something. I can't remember. He was a public figure or something like that. He was something he was doing. Yeah.
I'm looking at pictures of him that.
So returning back to the thread, Aminka had responded with when the mindset is dysfunctional.
And that's my queen, by the way.
Yeah.
Aminka.
Yeah.
Hi, sister.
Peace to the queen.
Absolutely.
She came in and said, when the mindset is dysfunctional, the house/families will be dysfunctional.
Period.
Yeah. Valerie said, this is just from a daughter-in-law view. My first husband, his mama let him get away with everything. Her sons could do no wrong. Held them accountable for nothing at all. My current husband has a very healthy family life for the most part. His biological father was not really in his life, but his stepdad has been since 5 months old and has always treated him as his own. His mama raised all 9 of her kids with God in their life, with morals, values, etc. They are all great people, and I couldn't ask for a better husband, in-laws, or family. And then Aretha says, let's investigate.
Right.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. When I read it, I started asking everybody on the job that question. Let's investigate. She right. Let's investigate. Yeah.
That is definitely something to look at. Definitely something to look at.
Hey, that's definitely a doorway to the basement. I promise you.
I mean, talk about contrast, right?
Man.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. So in lieu of the dysfunction, do we And I know a lot of we haven't like been here, prior to the 50s and all that, but just looking at our trajectory as a black
Mm-hmm.
family,
Mm-hmm.
do we see ourselves improving? Do we see ourselves healing?
So the black family, or are we talking about the black community? Because
Black community. I mean, I say black family, even though it's the black community, but
the community is made of black families.
mhm.
And so it's just like how the body itself is made up of cells, and each cell needs to be healthy in order for the body to be healthy. The community is the body. And so each family is a cell. Each individual in the
community,
family is
yeah.
also a cell.
Right,
So
right.
we starts with healthy individuals, and then that make healthy families. And only through that can we create healthy communities. And but the question is, how do we do that?
Mm.
How do we do it? That's the question. What are we willing to do? To put it like that, is that something that we want?
I
Is that
don't
something?
know.
And I know the answer, the popular answer would be, yeah, we want that. But then, what are you willing to do? What are you
Yeah.
willing to
In the
do to get
word,
that?
are you
Exactly,
willing to look at
exactly.
yourself and see the truth of who you are?
Ooh, that sounds like accountability, God level.
Knowledge, the trauma that
Mm.
you've been through is the reason why you are moving the way that you are moving today. Are you willing to forgive
Mm.
those people? Are you willing to forgive yourself? Are you willing to start to love yourself? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's work. Changing your mindset. That's work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
Absolutely.
interesting.
Hey, Amina.
She's like, I'm late.
That
Hey,
one.
sweetheart.
She said, I'm late. Hey, Amina, you ain't never late. You always right on time, girl. We just happy to see you.
Absolutely.
Happy to see you.
A lack of intention.
Intentionality, and that's what we're talking about
Yeah.
from the beginning. So that's why. But you have to. And when I say somebody got to go first, you have to intentionally
Yeah.
stop
We are going
that
first.
generational trauma.
We are going
know?
first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My mother was winging it. Her mother was winging it. I'm sure her my grandmother's mother was winging it. Yeah. So I don't hold
And it's
anything.
also, it's not like we don't we're like, it's not like we can't truly understand why, because they didn't know how to address the outer situation, because everything, the black family was trying to look a certain way because of how society looked at the black family.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right,
So it was
right.
always trying to keep this, don't let that get out, because we can't let people see this. We have to try to at least look like we together. Look like we
Which
good as a unit.
influences the pretentiousness. That influences the pretentiousness.
It sure does.
Yeah, full circle.
It sure
Yes,
does.
it did.
So even when we're suffering, we gotta look good. We gotta make it look good.
Hey, well, I tell you what.
Even when you're doing bad.
But I got that purse though.
Man, let me tell you something. I don't get out much, but when I do go out, last time I went out like on a big thing, we went to see. They have a poetry event here, but Fly Poet. We went to his event, and Malcolm Jamal Warner and Lola Hathaway was there. Layla Hathaway and all them was there, right? But when I walked into the facility, and I seen, we were looking good. It was black folks, right? Oh, we were looking good. I mean, dressed head to toe. I mean, I've seen shoes I didn't know they made. It had carbon fiber and metal. I'm just I'm like, and then hats and embroidered jackets and everything. But underneath all of that, I saw some very unhealthy people.
Man,
they was
yes, sir.
Big bellies and hobbling around and things like that. Oh, but they looked good.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
But they looked good. And so that's kind of like, I think too, us trying to look good as a black family, trying to keep up a certain persona and look like we're okay by keeping up a certain status and surrounding ourselves with things that make us look good. We've never taken care of ourselves at the core. The core has always suffered. The core
Facts.
of the black family is suffering because of that.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to look good on the outside to everybody else, just so we don't be talked about.
Mm. Our
Just so we don't be talked
reputation.
about.
Our
Yes.
reputation. Ooh.
hmm
Yeah. How am I perceived?
Mm.
I'm telling you.
Well, I don't know about how you perceive, but you look like you can do a couple of knees. Do some new knees, you know. Put
Some
that
new
cane
knees.
down, you know what I'm saying?
But just think
Respect.
about what that's passing along. It's just bad healthy habits, which is another thing that causes the
Yeah,
family
yeah,
dysfunction. That brings
yeah.
dysfunction into the family. We've
That's
gotten too
peace.
comfortable with disease. We've gotten too comfortable. Diabetes has become common
Oh
in our
yeah.
families.
Oh
High
yeah.
blood pressure has become
Mm,
common. They're like
I'm
family
a nurse.
members.
mm,
I can
mm,
attest to that.
Yeah,
They're getting
mm,
younger. They
yeah.
are the residents that I am taking care of are getting younger. I'm talking
hmm
about 44,
Mm.
45,
Oh, it's
46,
even younger than that.
47.
mm,
hmm
mm, mm.
Yeah, I told y'all when I was a paramedic in 2003, and I had to go pick up a kid with type 2 diabetes, and at that time I was still in my understanding that type 2 diabetes was adult onset diabetes. So why am I picking up a 9-year-old kid with type 2 diabetes?
Mm, mm, mm.
So it's and yes, it was a black kid.
Mm.
Damn.
What's the deal? You see what I'm saying? We just these things are becoming like our family members, disease. So is and just and we talking about osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, these kind of things. They don't even understand that this is all has a lot to do with not just unhealthy eating, but bad physical habits, but also stress, undue stress in the family, mental situations in family manifest physically, like in the form of these diseases as well. And God love, I don't know if you knew, beloved, but you put yourself on mute. Yes, you did. There you go. But yeah, but anyway.
So I want to throw something out here. God level. Unmute real quick. I
Yes.
got a question for you. Okay, real
Okay.
quick.
Yeah.
I want to shoot something your way and see
Okay.
if you ever heard anything about this.
Okay.
Um, have you heard anything called mothers pensions?
Mother's pensions?
Yeah.
No.
What about let's see, substitute parenting act?
Substitute parenting?
Yeah, parent act. Yeah, substitute parent act. Mother's pension.
No. No.
These are some of the government systems of welfare.
hmm
I mean, we're talking about destruction within the family.
Mm-hmm.
These are some of the things that have caused destruction, and I know you understand when it comes to welfare, and then also the the housing authority program. One of that fine print was the father husband can't be in the home front.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, well, that's a true
Yeah.
thing. Also, substitute parent would be a male figure that is dealing with the mother, but it's not the biological. He can't even be in the house, and if he is in the household, he's not allowed to be sexually active with the mother, and or cannot financially be show responsibility to the children. Otherwise, it would disqualify the mother from receiving assistance.
You've read this? This is real?
Google is my friend. Google is my friend. This is not me making this up. This is Google. This is Google. If you ask the right question, you'll get the right answer, along with some documentations.
Mm.
That's wild.
And most of these, not most of these, the entire bless you, the entire welfare system was never designed for black mothers. Period.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you muted again.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said I'm thirsty too, John, over there drinking. What you drinking on, John?
This is actually the Dream Me to Sleep. Remember one of our old
Quan.
Quan. Yeah.
Yeah.
We drink if not every night, every other night.
Sit out the Quan, because that's some good tea. I really enjoy that tea.
I didn't get my tea
It's
yet.
You didn't get your
effective,
tea?
man.
Oh, you need to hurry. You need to let her know,
You
because
need
that's
to
some good
scream
tea.
at her. Yeah, it is. It's effective.
That is some good tea.
Yep.
John said
Every night that Queen hooks me up. She hooks me up. Yeah, it's
I
effective.
do mine every night too.
You got yours too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, I wanted to insert self-love, self-respect. Is that missing in the black family?
Well, yeah, because there's too much attention on getting the approval of others. There's too much focus on that, because again, we've been bombarded. There's an excess amount of judgment going on in the black family as well, and trying to keep up. I mean, trust me, I got clients that I'm coaching through it's family trauma resolution. So it's a lot of that going on, and because of that, you overlook yourself because you're too busy believing other people's ideas about you, and then now it's their ideas that you're trying to change, even without working on yourself. So again, that feeds back into being pretentious. Okay, and so this is part of the cycle. But and it leads into the big mental illness as well. It fosters anxiety, fosters depression, and all of that. So big time, John. Great question. It's a great question.
It makes me wonder about this one, mainly because, well, just starting with the self-respect, right? If it's one thing that I know about black people, respect for us is a currency, and it's across the board, especially for black men, and that word pops up a lot. Not the self-respect, but just the word respect as it relates to our interactions. It's a currency, right? So men become almost obsessed with being respected, and then also to the extent of where respect is misunderstood or it's convoluted as fear. So you're gonna fear me. They say respect. You better respect me, right?
Yeah.
But what they're saying is, I need you to fear me, right?
Yeah.
And of course, there's a lot of theories behind that, right? As to why fear is preferred over respect. But what I've realized, even in my coming to as a man, is if you have respect for yourself, if you are full of respect, if you are respectful, right, you don't have to rely or become dependent on the respect of others. It becomes
100%.
it becomes additional. It's like it's the frosting on the cake, right? You're like, hey, I got the cake though, but if you add some frosting on there, that's cool too. I'm open to that, right? But it's not necessarily a demand. It's not I need your respect as if I'm deficient in my own. All right. So I look at that and I say, all right, that's such a big deal for us as black men, as black people. I don't like to be disrespected. Don't disrespect me. And a lot of that also comes from the institutions that we're operating in. We're in an oppressive system that's filled with oppressive systems installed into it, right? And so when you're just routinely exposed to that oppression and that constant disrespect, whether it be in media portrayals, whether it be in the judiciary system, whether it even be economically, just always being at the brunt of disrespect. And then for it to come from people that look like you, that seems to double the impact or double the effect of the disrespect.
Because
Is
it's
that when it
betrayal.
comes, right?
It feels like betrayal.
All right. So I realized in my journey that by having the respect for myself, I don't have to be afraid that someone else is gonna disrespect me. Because it's like, all right, well, hey, I mean, whether you respect me or not, this is what it is. I respect it, so that's enough. If you don't respect this, then all right, that's your problem. But you're not gonna right. So coming into that, where is that teaching of self-respect? And I know it's out there. It's not to say that it doesn't exist. It's virtually non-existent in the Black community, because we have plenty of figures out here and plenty of examples of someone demonstrating self-respect. But also we are sort of in a climate.
Oh, what were you asking? Were you putting the question out there? Can we answer the question?
No, I thought I was still mute. I'm sorry. I was reading what brother just sent to me. This stuff is real.
Believe it.
But
John, were you posing that question?
Oh, I wasn't really posing a question.
Okay.
Just the inspiration behind it. But more so just as it relates to what can we do as a community to continue our restoration and healing of the Black family, right? We know that there's different facets, especially from the socio-political side of things, but also just in terms of the Black family being the first social institution, right, that a child is exposed to. And even though we're always fighting for some access to socio-political power, economic power, at the basis of it all, that seems to be the only social institution that we really have control over. You have control over what ideas, what messages are perpetuated and proliferated throughout your family unit, right? What are your ideals, your habits, your behaviors? What is your lifestyle like? A lot of that has. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't involve resources, right? But you do have some control over which ideas and which mannerisms, which customs that you're going to adopt as a family, right? So if you are the father of a household, right, and you're fortunate to have, children that respect you and a girlfriend or a wife that respects you, you recognize your wealth already. You recognize the potential and you recognize your responsibility in cultivating their development as well as your own. And you also acknowledge the barriers, right? You also acknowledge your placement that, oh man, I don't have all these resources, which sets me at a grave disadvantage, but I can influence what type of information they're going to be exposed to in terms of their development. So the self-respect part, instilling that, what does it look like? Because in this climate, especially the social media, this virtual environment, self-respect can be deceptively, it could be deceiving, like you look at someone and you say, that's a self-respecting person, right? But that could be on the surface. And there's,
I don't know if you can tell if somebody's self-respecting or not. I don't know if you can really tell.
I feel like you can. Just in the exchange. In the exchange, that's why I say it seems deceptive because of all the posturing that's out there, right? So you might look at someone. Okay, no, I'm not going to target any celebrities. I'm not going to target.
That's what I was saying before about people being dressed up, but at the core they're not. So that's what I'm saying. You can look like anything on the outside And self-respect is not an external pursuit.
Right.
That's a pursuit of the spirit. Self-respect. It is respect from others. That's the pursuit of the ego.
Right. So that brings up the question that all right, if there's really no way of telling, how can we make the judgments or the evaluations that someone's being disrespectful towards us? Do we use our feeling? Do we use our emotions as the gauge for that? If I'm talking to this man and he disrespects me, and I have evidence that I've committed no wrong towards him, but he's disrespecting me, a lot of us would, theorize and say, "Oh, that's because he disrespected you because he doesn't respect himself." Right?
Well, I say
there was an interaction.
Yeah,
What?
but the thing is that nobody can disrespect you. That's an illusion. That's an illusion. First of all, because if you say, is the moment that you say that, oh, you disrespected me, you've already given power over to that person, which is the grandest level of disrespect. You just disrespected yourself. You just gave away your power. So it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. You don't have to acknowledge it at all. That's what your power is. You don't, that's why I say the pursuit of respect from other people is an ego pursuit. As long as if you are already self-respected, if you respect yourself, if you've done and you know that you've acted, in a way that you have set for yourself, it doesn't regardless of how people respond to it, and you just keep on walking, you just keep moving, because that's what you've done. You know what I mean? So you're okay. So that's why confidence comes in. That people are gonna bait you into arguments that are undue to you, that are unworthy to you. Because you're pursuing respect from them. And I tell people that's fine. I don't really care what your intentions are. If you intend to say something disrespectful, that's on you. That's what you got to work out with your spirit. Because if I check out of here today, I'm passing the scales. I'm not going to hold your actions in my heart so I don't pass the scales. And y'all have to understand what I'm saying when I'm talking about passing the scales.
Oh, yeah.
At any day, I'm keeping my heart light. I ain't taking in nothing that somebody else is doing, because as soon as you do, you get that's the kind of power that you give over to other people. They can determine whether you walk past them scales or not. You know what I'm saying? Because you gave over your, just don't care. It's about being at peace no matter what. Let people actions be their own. You ain't ever got to take that on. You see what I'm saying? So the pursuit of the spirit is self-respect. That's another way of respecting yourself. Is not allowing yourself to be drawn into somebody else's narrative. Period.
I like that.
All right. How does that work with respect then? So let's just say, for example,
forget respect. I don't care about respect. I don't give one damn about respect, because I have enough of it of myself. And it's my respect for myself that allows me to love each one of you. And for us to have this beautiful, harmonious relationship. I'm not looking for respect from any of you. I am worried about what I'm giving to this situation. You understand what I'm saying? I don't care about respect. Part. That's another thing. Again, that's a pursuit of the ego. I don't care about it. I used to, but when I did, it was me ruling with an iron fist. I was slapping folks. I was beating people up. The people who I'm trying to get validation from, I'm hurting them because I'm pursuing respect from them. It was the one thing that ruined me. So I had to give up respect, give up my pursuit of respect. That's when my life came into balance.
So is it that we're just being dependent on the perceptions of others? Oh,
way too dependent.
Oh, okay, too dependent.
Yeah, well, that's what society has led you to believe that you need. That you need respect of others. You don't need that. You just need to respect yourself. That's it. And worry about what it is that you are offering to your situation. That's it.
I like that.
If it goes any further than that, you're giving your power away.
Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, it's okay. Like I say, that's
John mind is over there when he looks up. Just
I'm like that.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's like
Because I'm thinking about our audience out here that hasn't arrived to that level,
Oh,
and
okay.
I don't
Yeah.
want to abandon them, right? I
Yeah.
don't want to abandon those folks out there. That's like, all right, well, that's easy for you to say. You've already arrived, but some of us out here, we ain't arrived at self-respect. So what are we
And
supposed
it's
to do,
okay to
guys?
tell me, say, Dion, shut up, because ain't nobody around. It's okay. I'm cool with that.
No, because I know exactly what he's talking about, but I'm just speaking from that perspective of that audience out there that's like, all right, well, so what am I supposed to do if I haven't acquired that respect for myself so that I can instill that in my daughter? Because of course it looks differently for everyone, right? Self-respect
Mhm.
it's going to be fashioned differently for everyone. And so we're talking about modeling behaviors also. Because again, if you grew up in a fatherless home or even in a motherless home, and you're looking for someone that looks like you to model self-love, to model self-respect. Like, I remember this quote from Confucius. I'm probably going to butcher it a little bit, but it's 3 ways that we acquire wisdom: imitation, um, which is easiest, experience, which is bitterest, and reflection, which is noblest, right? And so this is also just acquiring the information. I want to learn how to respect myself, but I don't have a model to build from. Now I could reflect, but my intellectual faculties, I haven't been afforded that yet. I haven't been afforded that mindset to reflect on myself. I don't even want to look at myself right now. So I have to look outward. I'm 16 years old and I'm looking for a model of self-respect. So
Mhm.
should I look to another? I can't afford a therapist right now either because my family doesn't believe in therapy, right? So
Mhm.
I'm kind of pandering to those folks, right, that
That's a
haven't
fun
had the
question
model.
too,
Mm,
and it's valid. It's valid because all I can tell you is, welcome to life.
Yes.
Welcome to life.
You got so okay, it's gonna be a tough road for those folks,
That's
but
and listen. That's part of the rites of passage. That's the initiation process.
okay.
right,
That's it.
right, right.
You go out until you learn how to go within.
Mm,
Period.
Yeah,
mm.
Okay.
that's deep. Cause now,
I'm
Salvador,
sorry, this is
you help
God level.
me.
Who do we have on the line right now?
Amina.
Hi,
Yep, I
Amina.
already knew it. I already knew it. Peace to the queen. Peace, peace, peace.
Hey,
Peace,
hey.
peace, peace. Go ahead, honey.
I've been missing a couple of Sundays because, like, last week, the week before last, I was on a cruise and I came tired. And the week before that, I don't know what I was doing, something with my family. So I'm glad I got a chance to tune in tonight. Now, Brother Diamond just dropped a major key, like, and it's a bomb at the same time. Because let me tell you, I came to the realization that respect and this idea of us wanting, desiring, pining for, pandering for, and pining over respect or the lack thereof. It is one of the reasons why we don't get far ahead in life. Like on an individual level, on a community level, as a whole society, because we keep wasting so much time, like you said, trying to almost like force other people to respect us. So I like what John said this earlier. He said, if you're respectful, like, and I was like, oh, full of respect for self. I was like, I never really thought of it like that. So when we hear the word respectful, we don't really think of it as being full of respect. And who are you full of respect towards? But what Diamond was saying was absolutely true. When you're full of respect of yourself, you find yourself not really trying to force anybody else to respect you. In fact, you don't even look at what other people do towards you as disrespectful. You realize that whatever it is that they're doing has nothing to do with you. Even though they might think that they're doing something towards you, you realize that that's the indication of whatever it is they got going on within themselves. But as far as what John was saying, when it comes to those who haven't arrived at that point, and I'm not fully there, but I have a little bit of understanding. So I'm getting to that point where I've been letting go of the reins of trying to think that I can really teach people how to like treat me in a sense of, oh, if I model this behavior, that they're necessarily going to follow the example. Because I realize I have to respect me just because I respect me. And me treating others the way I want to be treated doesn't necessarily mean I'm about to pay it forward and get some good karma out here just because I've always treated people the way I want to be treated, because everybody don't want to be treated the same way. So that's why I never like that idea of people saying live by the golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated, because everybody does not want to be treated the same way. What one person might think of as respect, like my mom is so big on, she's like, look me in my eyes when you talk to me. But I'm the type of person, if I'm really trying to focus on something, when I'm listening, I have to look at a drift, I think it's called drifty, point, like a specific spot, and that helps me to increase my focus, as opposed to me trying to look at the person in their eyes. Then I probably could try to make myself look at this person in their eyes, but it's not helpful or respectful of myself, because I know that I listen better for whatever reason when I'm actually looking down. It makes me focus more. So, this is just a beautiful conversation, so I just wanted to chime in and let y'all know that this is much needed, especially when it comes down to like us overcoming dysfunction. But I think the biggest thing is us letting go of this idea of trying to teach or indoctrinate this idea of respect beyond ourselves. Like, we really need to start teaching how we can be respectful of ourselves, living within a specific code of law, and then recognizing free will. Because what is right for me may not necessarily always be right for somebody else. And we have to respect that in the grand scheme of things. So just treat everybody with value and valuing their contribution, like Brother Diamond said. And I think if everybody understands, like, you need to be contributing in a way that once everything's all said and done and everything's sorted out, what does that look like for you on the scale? So to me, I love it. I'm ready to listen to everybody else's information. But thank y'all so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for calling in, love.
Thank you, Amina.
Peace.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
All right.
Amina. Thank you. Peace to the queen. So look, Saba, remember me and you having the talk, and I pointed out I don't even look for it to be negative or positive anymore. I'm more so geared in to the understanding. And
Yes.
by arriving to the understanding, I'm able to create peace. Even by me getting peace, it doesn't sway my emotions or my feelings, because I got understanding now. By me getting that understanding, I can't be mad, I can't be happy. I got understanding, and by being right there within myself, there's no need for me to get upset about anything. There's no need for me to, oh man, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Woo, I don't even find myself going through those emotions, but I can correlate that with the same thing. Is there was a time recently that is like, I demand respect first and foremost, but I give it first. But now it's more so I'm giving me of service and allowing myself to be a vessel of set situations, so that way I can receive the understanding, because that's what I want, no matter what it is. And if I can't get the understanding, then I'd be like, okay, well, maybe it's something that I'm not paying attention to. So I internalize it, and I don't project that it's their fault. Do that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
That's
by
it. No, that's it. Yeah.
well, no, I'm just saying, like Skywalker said, for those that haven't arrived to the point of self-respect, and trying to feed the ego of demanding the respect, or saying that you're not going to disrespect me from that standpoint, maybe this could be a way for them to, well, everything is not in alignment with my thought process. I have to be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not saying that I'm right or wrong. It's not saying that they are right or wrong, or the situation is right or wrong. We have to figure out, does this work? If we were to apply set knowledge, wisdom, could we bring it to an understanding? And if we can bring it to an understanding, you're not wrong, I'm not wrong, this is what works. And it goes back to what you said earlier. You was pointing out when we was using the word fake or false, because at any given moment, a person can choose to be whoever they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Even with that being said, you can't quickly judge. I'm sorry, you can't pass judgment or convict somebody of the past or where you left them, because where you left them, that's all the information that you have of them at that current moment when it was then. But when you come to the now, that could be a totally different person. So
Mm-hmm.
do you handle them as if who they used to be, or do you wipe the slate clean and only approach the situation for who they currently are showing themselves to be? Like my sister said, sometimes God level said they send forth their representative until you allow the steam to come down. You then and only then you get to see that, oh, okay, I naturally see who you are now, and this is
Mm-hmm.
how I'm supposed to handle you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just putting that in. I was trying to build. That's all I was trying to build.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember I was told that it was two things that you can only attain by earning them. It's all about what you give. You know, you have to give in order to receive it. And that's respect and love. You have to give respect in order to receive it. And it doesn't work the other way around, right? You can't receive it then give it.
Ooh.
And also love is something you have to also express, and then and it's its own reward, right? It reflects it, whatever you're giving it to, more than likely can reflect it. Not always, because we know we tend to humble ourselves before people, and then they don't show the same thing. But this is why I say that as long as you respect yourself and keep being respectful of yourself,
Mhm.
then that's and let that be your goal. Let that be, and that way you can leave others to stew in the fecal matter of their own decisions, not yours. Don't take that on. Don't take that stank home with you. You see, and that's even if it's directed towards you. You ain't got to accept it. You ain't got to
Mm-hmm.
accept it.
Damn, that just hit home like a motherfucker. Excuse my
Yeah.
language. Um, I'm gonna be transparent right now. Man, that just hit home. That hit super, 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 super home. Appreciate you, Sabadar, man. Um,
Likewise, brother.
God level, I want to say, I really do adore you and appreciate you.
Thank you.
Saba just pointed out something to me that made me really realize I fucked up on something, and that was when we had a falling out before we even came about this podcast. And I said something that wasn't even honorable to our dad, let alone myself, and it showed disrespect to myself, and then also to you as far as protecting us. And I know we had got over that. That's why we're able to be at this point right now. But damn, Saba, you yeah, that I don't even know how that happened. You just took me all the way back to that day that me and my sister had a talk, and I was like, I don't care if you talk to me no more. And I don't want to go into details, but since you know what I'm referring to, and damn, Saba, I just want to apologize to you, sis. Like that.
We're here now.
No, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt,
We
no
are
doubt.
here now. We are here
Hmm.
now. I
Yeah,
still
no
love you.
doubt.
Yeah, that's peace.
Hmm.
Yeah, we good. We had a moment even before, earlier this year, I had to come clean about some stuff that I had been holding on to, and you understood. And yeah, and we are here. That was old. That's old energy. We don't even have nothing to do with that anymore. That's gone. That's gone. We are
Hmm.
here now.
No, it's the thing of operating in the mindset of knowing that everything is one. And I'm like, based on what Saba just said, it just really just it. I'm talking about instantly. It just took me there. The one thing you used to always tell me, like, whenever you deal with me or you talk to me, you always hold me in the highest esteem of our dad.
Yes.
And no, I'm just saying I don't know how that just happened, and it just like teleported right to that, and I was like, whoa, where'd that come from? So again, Saba.
See, we hitting black families already.
Mhm.
Man.
Yeah.
It really goes to show that conflict resolution is also a skill that a lot of our families haven't been afforded.
We
Yeah.
should talk about that next week.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely, and we
We
need
should
more
talk
people
about
who
that
look
next
like
week.
us that are professionals, so these families can come and talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Conflict
Because
resolution.
only
should
we
talk
would
about that.
understand how we roll like that. Only we understand that. So absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
great.
knowing how to repair relationships. Yeah, that's a life skill right there. Relationships that are valuable to again, if we understand that the black family is a very central unit to our survival and our thriving. Right?
Yes.
100%, bro.
Knowing how, like you learn first from your family how to resolve conflict. If your mom and your father, they have a disagreement, all right, what does it look like when they make up, when they kiss and make up, or when they resolve their conflicts? And then again with your siblings, because if you learn how to do it with your siblings, then you should be able to do it with your peers, and if you can do it with your peers, your spouse, and so on and so forth. So having that skill to maintain a relationship, because that is a life skill. A lot of it, I say there's 3 types of people when it comes to relationship. There are those that are good at getting into relationships, there are those that are good at maintaining relationships, and then there are those that are really good at terminating relationships. Right? And to be able to know how to do all 3 is a talent these days, because you got some people that only know how to do one thing, then you got some that know how to do 2 out of the 3. But doing all 3, recognizing that, all right, you know what, this relationship has fulfilled its usefulness. This is no longer serving me, and I'm no longer serving this relationship right here. You know what? It's time to terminate it. It's not serving me anymore. I've evolved, or this person has grown, or whatever, right? Knowing how to do that, and that usually starts in the family. Something that simple. You have to learn it on your own. You just got to figure it out there, and then it doesn't get passed down.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Valuable jewel right there.
Exactly. King, you okay? He's been staring out the window or something for a while. You okay, brother?
A thinking
Man,
man.
I'm
That's
good,
a thinking man
man.
right there, though. That's a thinking man.
You know what happens when King start thinking, boy? Things start moving.
Mm, mm,
There you
Things
go.
start moving when King thinks. That's what's up.
Where are we at? We are
But
at an hour and 43.
mm.
So next week, conflict resolutions within the black family.
Yes.
What does it look like?
Yes.
Let's go for it.
Okay.
Yes.
We
yes.
can't just and that's a good thing. We can't always just point out the problem. We need to have solutions readily available to.
And just so you know, that's what I do in my coaching practice.
Yeah.
I am family
And
conflict
changing
resolution
the path. Oh, okay.
specialist. Yes.
Yeah. And that will definitely help change the path that we are on. It's scary, because of the way everything is. We just need to flick that switch and wake up and say, just wake up, right? Wake up.
Amina, what's Amina say? Maintenance of relationships is a weak skill for many because a lot of people think that the grass is greener. I was just having this conversation with my daughter. So we cut ties and go on to pursue something new before healing. Yes, 100%. 100%. I was literally just having this conversation with my daughter before I got on backstage with you guys.
It's
Literally just doing that.
That's a topic. Is the grass on the other side? No.
I say.
It's a topic. All right. Does anybody have any last words, Diamond?
I say, this topic is very much ongoing because we have to again clear up our own dysfunction. It's just like how we say in the fitness industry, you don't build strength on top of dysfunction. You take care of the
Ooh.
dysfunction first, then you build strength. That right, John?
John just that
Get
was
functional before you
Daddy,
can
just
strengthen.
get it down.
So if we want to strengthen our communities and strengthen our families, you must deal with the dysfunction.
Yes,
That's all I want to say.
brother King Newborn.
Ashe.
Say, John.
I'm ready to go and shoot that clip.
My baby, shoot it then.
So I said, trauma is a tree that's deeply rooted in you. Now it's in your seeds and you see it grew as they grew. You try to cut it down just to see it renew. It's Texas hip hop. If you chop it, then you're screwed. I guess my childhood represents the Garden of Eden. Got me wishing that I was guarded from eating the forbidden fruits and consuming the juices bleeding on the leaves of a tree that's stuck in the autumn season. Snakes live in the grass. The biggest live in the trees. They teach forbidden knowledge to children who cannot read. Innocent Eve got the body of Serena Williams, yet she has the mind of a teen. Trauma is a tree rooted in a fertile mind of fertile lies. Trauma can't grow unless it's fertilized by dirty looks and unconscious fears and watered by depressive tears. Trauma is a tree. We live in a forest. That's what you call family trauma. Our soil is the poorest, like the ones in Mortal Kombat. What are we fighting for? When will we realize we really don't want that? The wind is a trigger. It's ruffling the leaves, bending to its will, low self-esteem, head held high because it's hung from a rope, soon to be hanging by a thread called hope. Avoiding shadow work while throwing some shade. You think accountability is a prison you must escape. I went out on a limb to give you some therapy, but you never stick to it. You're always prepared to leave. Trauma is a tree. I pray it don't elevate. The tree of life gives me air. The tree of death takes my breath away like it's Derek Chauvin in my neck of the woods, where we neglect our mamas while protecting our trauma. Yeah. Trauma is a tree. You turn it all into paper to write about the stresses that stem from your oppressors, entertained by your suffering, profiting off the value of your pain. But that blood money never amounts to the healing that you need and the happiness it can't buy. Trauma is a weeping willow, but it can't cry itself to sleep. Mama said go outside to grab a switch off the trauma tree. She beat you till you were sick. And like a martial artist, she got a kick out of gaslighting you. She said you let her like Willie Lynch. See, you were just a plant on a plantation, grounded in the past, waiting for eternal damnation. Temporary relief is what you're chasing. But if they uproot you out the jungle, that's gentrification. If a trauma tree falls, it won't make a sound. So water it with gasoline, then burn it to the ground. Bless.
Bless. Wow.
Bless.
Nuggets.
Okay.
Nuggets.
Ooh,
Taking that one to the
ooh.
bank. So you're like,
Yeah,
so
that
paid.
was. Ooh, that ended. Ooh.
Yeah. A oldie good but a goodie. A oldie but a goodie.
Gasoline
Love
and
it.
burn it. Ooh. Yes.
A thin line called hope, a thin string called hope.
Man.
Oh yeah, hanging from a
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
hung
hope
from a
is.
rope, soon to be hanging by a thread called hope. Yeah.
Hope. Yeah.
Crazy
Mhm.
imagery.
Imagery.
Man, love it.
Oh my God.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Shoot, because you
Thank
be
you.
hitting
Thank
it.
you.
I haven't wrote anything.
Uh-oh.
Like a blockage. I start and can't.
Hey, it'd be like that for me too. Yeah, it'd be like,
Be
trust,
like that.
none of this is all in one setting. It's
Right. Like, man.
Mhm.
So I'll start something else and thinking it'll flow. Then that doesn't flow. I'll go start. I have like several pieces started but not finished.
Yep. That's how my. Yep. That's how
what
my.
happens.
Yep.
I hope I just get inspired one day and finish all of them.
You know what's gonna have to happen? You're just gonna have to go back to it. You just got to go to it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. You just got to go back to it.
Now that I have time, it's a blessing to be having less days to work. Yet on these every other Sundays, you're killing me. You're killing me. But anyway, this is God level things people don't want to talk about. I want to thank everyone for jumping in on tonight's live. Everyone who left a comment. I want to thank Amina, hey girl, for always calling in and checking us out. I hope you walked away with something here. Next week, we're going to talk about the Black family and John.
Conflict resolution skills.
You whispering.
Hoping she was going to hear me. I don't interrupt the flow.
I'm sure everybody heard it. Talk about conflict resolution, which is something that is well needed in the Black community. A disagreement does not always have to lead to bloodshed.
That's right.
So, with that being said, we will see you all back here next week. Y'all have a wonderful week. Good night. John,
Later.
you got me?
Yep.